I looked at him and I said, "Do you understand what you're reading here? WCW ain't getting this. These six groups are."
Daniel Castile has asked, can you talk a little more about your WWF run in 1990 to 91? Most fans don't even know Shane Douglas was in the locker room at that time. What were the boys like, the vibe like, Vince like, etc.?
All great. I know it sounds disappointing to the fans. The money was great, much better than it was in 95. They had given me, what had happened was I had stayed in contact with Pat Patterson because Dominic had known Pat Patterson. And I never once asked him for a job. I would just call and check in with him. Hey, I'd say how things going there, and going good, okay. Johnny, this and that, just a little small talk like that. And then he'd ask me general questions like, "Are you putting some size on?" Just an amiable 10-minute conversation. And when I left WCW at the point after I'd had the knee surgery and had to be off for a few weeks, the whole time I think it was a month. And the whole time I'm off, I'm being told that I'm getting this big singles push. And I get back and I'm getting beat on at least it was on paper that night. Mark Callis is going to beat me like in 2 minutes with a Hart punch. And I said, I'll put him over, but that wasn't jiving with what I was hearing from the committee the entire time I was off. And at this time, there was a strange dynamic in WCW. One thing was being decided at the CNN Center in the office. And then when they get out to the field at the arena, they would do something else. And then they would get back to the arena and they would say, well, we told them that, but they did this, like putting the heat on us. So when that day at the building, when it came to that, I finally looked at Johnny and I said, I'm done here, dude. Like, good luck. And Wahoo tried to talk me out. The Tom and Brian and Johnny tried to talk me out. By that time I'd had it and I was communicating with Eddie Gilbert, who was in the office at the time. And he said, don't fly to Pittsburgh tonight. Fly from Baton Rouge to Atlanta, layover, and fly home tomorrow. Be here tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Jim Herd needs to hear this. So I did. And when I got there, instead of getting, hey, come on in, let's talk, I got this sort of like really cold, condescending browbeating from him. And like, I know what you're thinking. And I know you've been talking to, and you're about to make the biggest mistake of your career. And then he reached behind him in his file cabinet and he's leafing through and he pulls out a piece of paper and he goes to hand it to me, and I'm going to prove it to you. And he hands me a piece of paper. I reach for it, he pulls it back, and he said, now, you're probably not going to be able to understand this being that you're a wrestler. I said, there's standing damn thing you have in that file cabinet. So I look at it, it's WWF ratings, which I think it was like 7.4 at the time. And then halfway down the paper, there was WCW, Portland, Mid-South, or not Mid-South, Memphis, a couple of like 5 or 6 of the promotions that were still in existence at that time. All together, the cumulative ratings for those 6 or 7 promotions was still like 1.5 points behind Vince's. And I looked at him and I said, do you understand what you're reading here? WCW ain't getting this. These 6 groups are. And when I left, at that point, I said, nice working for you. Thank you very much. I'm leaving. Here's my resignation. And I flew home and told, Eddie wished me luck. And I called Pat, and Pat Patterson said, we don't have anything open right now, but you can come in. We'll give you an opportunity. And sure. I was a young enough kid. I have no problem with that. So I went in. I was there for about a year and a half, had phenomenal people to work with. Playboy Buddy Rose, Haku, Barbarian. God, I'm sure I'm missing a bunch, a boatload. Paul Roma, Hercules Hernandez. It was a really talented dressing room that I got to work with every night. And sometimes they'd be Broadways, and sometimes I'd go over in a house show. Sometimes I'd go under. It really wasn't, but the money was great. I had a great relationship with Vince. Got along with everybody in the company. It was a great place to work. Couldn't say a bad thing about it. And when I went back in 95, I was expecting more of that, and instead I saw the exact contrary to that. But I still look back at that 90-91 run, which I had to leave, by the way, because my dad had come down with stage 4 COPD and couldn't live alone. And that's when I started teaching. But I have nothing but good things and positive things to say about the Federation, about Vince, about the dressing room, the people I got to work with, the fans. It was a great place. Completely diametrically opposite what I saw in 95 when I went back. I was expecting more of that and got a whole lot of the other.